is an open letter to my Western friends. That's North America and Western Hemisphere, especially North America and Western Hemisphere. The more I think about it, everybody benefits from this matter. The matter that I want to discuss is a matter of the draft. The mandatory military service that every young person, man or woman, is expected to undergo in their own country. That's 2 years of military service, mandatory military service for everyone. This is something that it does amazing things. If it's executed well, it does amazing things, and I think everybody in the democratic, what you like to call yourself, democratic world, nobody does this, but everybody should do it, and I don't know why they stopped. The draft has many advantages. For example, if your educational system fails in any way and it goes unnoticed, if there is a play, if at a certain age you're handed over to the government for evaluation. At age 18, you're handed to your government. You are up to the age 18. You are in the civilian world. In every day, everybody. It's a civilian world in which you had. If you were rich, you lived with around rich people, rich school, rich this, rich that. If you were, Muslim, would be, going to school in the Islamic school or whatever, and then this and that and the other, and a certain perspective in life. And then if you're, poor and ghetto, you grow up in certain condition and in the projects and poverty and crime and blah blah blah. Now, if there is a draft, then at the point of the draft, government steps in to evaluate its citizens. Hey, how much do these rich kids have learned? How much do they know? How much these poor kids know? You see, the brass in the army, they don't kid around. If they're given an order of evaluation, they don't, they can't lie, because they're in the military system. Lying is not it's not really encouraged in the military system. And what's obvious is obvious. They can't lie. So there are checks and balances. So the military is the best way to evaluate your newly minted citizens at age 18. And, really newly minted is hey, you can vote now. Let me see how much you know, how much you have learned during these 18 years, and evaluate, see if we are doing a good job as a nation. If we are doing a good job as a nation to bringing up these kids. You see, it could be private school. It could be private school or home school all their life until age 18. You don't know that. There's no department checking, hey, how much our citizens know, how much they have learned, where they are in life. How much do they know? At the point of the draft, you pull everybody in and you evaluate. Have we done raising good citizens? Because the first 18 years is the 18 years that stays with you all your life. So basically up to 18, whatever you learn is basically, that's who you are most of your life. But you want to know that. What are we producing? How our new citizens are going to be? And draft, the military draft is the one point that you can check. get, literally go for a checkup. A person goes for a checkup, shows up to the government service for 2 years of draft, and goes to a government service and is checked, evaluated, just like you go physical check every year. These 2 years of life, you go to the service of government in the military as a checking of what level is our citizens at now. The citizens who are just entering society on their own. Let's see who they are. Let's evaluate them. Physically, mentally, education-wise, cognitively, physically. At this point, the army of Uncle Sam's managers is basically saying that, no, if you're not physically fit, we don't want you. Oh, you want the best of specimen? You're not happy with the specimen we got? You want the best also? You wanna go get the best killed? I'm sorry, I'm not saying that this does happen, that necessarily, God forbid, nobody wants to see anybody die, but what's up with we don't want the fat ones, we want the best? You want fries with that? The point is this: I think in the West, for example, in England, in France, in the West, I'm not even referring to Uncle Sam's at this point. I can be referring to Uganda, France, Portugal, Italy, doesn't matter. All these young people, man and woman, at age 18, go to the military service, at the service of the government, no matter what shape they are, no matter what form they are. We actually want all of them to attend, to come in, so that the government, the system, can evaluate what it has been producing. What kind of citizen is entering society at age 18? I'm sorry, it's 2 year service, so I think goes into we want to know what kind of citizens we are sending into society at age 20. 18 military service, 20 enters into society. It's expected. No college either. It's just 18, you finish high school, or you dropped out, whatever you did. When you reach 18, you got to go 2 years, see Uncle Sam. So, Uncle Sam can evaluate you, see what he has produced. Now, this is one, what is the advantage of this? One is education. If there has many advantages, this mandatory military 2 year service for everyone in the land, man and woman. You want to go education, regarding education. Many of these folks may have just skipped through school. They don't even know how to read. Forget about writing. Some can't add the basic necessities of running a normal life. Many of them has escaped them. They haven't learned. Economics, a little math. Many of them, I'm sorry, they have apparently, skipped school. Many have dropped out. For whatever reason, doesn't matter. The point is, you want to, during this 2 years of military service, mandatory military service, you educate them. You say, hey, you didn't learn how to read in high school, now the drill sergeant is gonna put his foot up your ass if you don't learn to read now. And this is the military, motherfucker. You can't, you can't fuck around here, or the drill sergeant is gonna again have his foot up your ass. So the point is this: you educate them. Wherever the educational system has failed, you fix it. The last check is the military. During the 2 years, many of these folks are educated. The ones who have slipped through the cracks are educated. At least they can read, write, do simple mathematics, understand some simple economics, household work, some technical work. So your people can stand on their own to do something beside smash and grab. to know something besides smash and grab. If that's all the skill you picked up, because there was no strict period of time in which you had to learn something, or else again, drill sergeant and his foot. So this forceful endeavor of at least 2 years would educate many in many ways. 2 years of boot camp. That's education. Boot camp for education. And boot camp, 2 years of boot camp for the fat ones. You want the fat ones not to fight and die. You want them to bring them into shape, because this is going to be your citizen. This is going to be your citizen. You want them in shape. They're out of shape, yes, and that's your responsibility as a country. You need to bring your citizens in shape, even if it's, again, the drill sergeant and his foot has to be involved in some way. Physical well-being, mental well-being. 2 years of mandatory military service, having to deal with all the shit that your society is offering, all the variety that this society is offering. I'm sorry, did I say shit? Two years of uninterrupted barracks sharing with what the many layers of society that the society has to offer. It's going to be eye-opening for all your citizens. It's going to help them to be good citizens, to understand each other. Because when you have to spend 2 years, a country club guy and a ghetto guy who grow up in two different environments, if they have to share fucking barracks, after 2 years they're going to have a very good understanding of each other without killing each other. They haven't killed each other, they've shared the barracks, but after 2 years they will come to some sort of a fucking understanding. So hopefully on the outside they wouldn't want to kill each other. In fact, the whole this question that comes up left and right, that they ask white people, do you have a friend? Do you have a black friend who's black? Do you have a friend who's black? Or do you have a black friend? And they want to catch him in a moment of racism. Well, folks, if the guy hasn't been forced to sit with the people of different other colors, hasn't been forced, because here's the thing. I have chickens, okay? Two sets of chicks of the same breed. They're just chicks, that small chickens that are still growing. If you have two sets of chick of exactly the same breed, but you separate them just by putting them in two different cages, if at one point you reintroduce these two sets of chicks that are of the same breed, you just kept them at a distance from each other, and then you let them back together, what happens is that they start fighting because they don't know each other. They literally don't know each other. So it's not like they start fighting everyone. No, they don't fight people of their own group. They fight people of the other group. Now these are chicks of the same breed, of the same parents, who have just grown up like 3 feet from each other. And they have the brain the size of a pea. So my point is this, that this shows that even white people who are grown in different environments will have the difficulty understanding each other. We'll have difficulty relating. fuck the situation in which, you know, they are of different races and different economic backgrounds. How the fuck these guys are going to meet and become friends? When you ask a, you know, a rich white guy is like, how many black friends do you have? Yeah, we have one. I mean, he's the black pearl of our country club. No, that's a joke. But a real black friend, have you had any? No, I haven't had any, because in life never gave him a chance to have a black friend, or the black guy to have a white friend, rich white friend, because, you know, and understand, know a rich white friend, know a rich white guy in his life, as a comrade, as a barracks mate. Never had the chance, had that chance. Because what I was trying to explain with the chicks is that even if they are of exactly the same species, same age, same everything, if they are kept apart, they don't know each other. They fight until, you know, the pecking order is established. My point is this: your people are going to fight. Now, this fight can be in a controlled environment. Fight to get to know each other. You can't, your people don't know each other. Just like these chicks who have grown up in two different cages don't know each other. Your people don't know each other. If, because of, you know, in capitalist system, because of socioeconomic ladder that exists, some people are at the lower steps of the ladder. Some people are at the higher steps of the ladder, and the two shall never meet. So there's no reason for a rich white guy to know any middle class or poor black guy, because never encountered one that wasn't working for him, and vice versa. A black guy never, you know, had a rich white friend, because never met one except in a working association. So working for one association. Anyway, my point is this. But so with the draft, you can cure this problem as well. You will have people in your society in which friends through multiple layers of economic status, or multiple layers of social status. The good thing about this is you're going to have a much more humane society, because, you know, the rich guy also knows a few poor military friends who associates with, who knows, who sometimes hears about from other comrades. So my point is this: through all the layers of your society, you will have this without trauma. We're not saying put a draft together so you can go to war. No. Forget about the war. This draft is just for evaluation of the citizens and education of citizens, and this enhancement of communication between citizens. So maybe 5 years down the line, every white guy has a couple of black friends that he knows from the time that he did his military service, his 2-year peaceful military service. End of story. That's education. That's building a better society, more understanding, more humane society. 3, to build infrastructure. Folks, many countries in the West, especially North America, this is not something that's this is talked about quite often, quite a lot. That infrastructure is not good, has been neglected for the purpose of wars. You know, infrastructure has been neglected at the expense of wars, because of the expense of the wars, and, you know, expanding the empire. When you expand the empire, there is less money. When all the time it's all about expansion. Ukraine is an expansionary one of the expansionary attitudes of an empire is expansion. But the problem with that is that there's not enough money to go around, so the infrastructure suffers. The home suffers because all the money is going to the periphery to expand the empire. So the center suffers, becomes underfunded. So building infrastructure is could become one of the primary objectives of such an army, such a military service. That okay, no, we have spent too much money. We went to too many bars. We had too many drinks. We had too many wars. We spent too much money. Here we go. We are going to build the infrastructure with our draft military service. Everybody comes in. First, we teach you how to read and write, do simple math, economics, then, a little sociology. The 2 months that we are training you physically, we're going to educate you as well. 3, 4, 5 months, whatever, 3 months, 4 months. The rest of it, you go out there, you start building, doing whatever, literally doing whatever in order to, fix the roads and bridges and whatever. It becomes this rebuilding the infrastructure could be the primary objective of such an army. Actually, the primary objective is to evaluate the citizens and bring to some kind of standards the citizen in terms of education and health, and physically bringing up to a certain level the populace, the citizens, and use them to build the infrastructure that is in need of help. Then you can sit down and talk about how many more advantages there is. Civility. I mean, if you're in the ranks and you can't talk shit because, again, the drill sergeant and his foot are going to visit you, so you tend to become better by first by force. Then you find out that being better is not that bad either. Let's be better instead of an ass. So everybody would benefit from this civility that will take root in the society within that 2 years. First, you get to know the other layers of your society beside yourself, beside your own layer. Second, you get some education. Third, you get some physical fitness evaluated and help to get more physically fit. Eat right. Help build the infrastructure. Help civilize the people to be civil with each other, first by force, as I said, but then later on you just becomes a habit to be civil. Being civil means first you're forced to be civil, then becomes a habit. Being civil becomes a habit. But you gotta be, at one point it has to be forced. Being civil, at the beginning it has to be forced. Not at age 30, not at age 40, fill up the prisons because people fail to be civil with each other. You never taught them to be civil with each other. If the drill sergeant has met the ass when the guy was 18, if the drill sergeant's foot has met the guy's ass when the guy was 18, you wouldn't have a lot of problems that you have with the guy at 28, at 38, at 48, at 58, keep going to prison and coming back. It just needed a fucking drill sergeant on his foot to stop the whole thing. First, forced to behave civilly, in a civil manner, after 2 years, behaving in a civil manner becomes a second habit, second nature. And we already went over humanizing the situation. It really affects people when they see. Here's, I guess, what I'm trying to say. John Bolton, if you force John Bolton to go and live in one of the places that he encouraged, advised, to be attacked, to be destroyed, if he's forced to go spend a year over there with in the city that he gave the okay in destroying. If he has to spend a year there, that would be enough to that would be enough punishment, let's say. Having to live in a city that you help destroy. What I'm trying to say is that this 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 meeting face to face, the guy that you despise, is the key to humanity. If you have to meet the guy that you despise, you can become a better human being. If it means that means you have to be forced to meet the people you despise. John Bolton despises more or less anybody who's not white. Many in the establishment of Western Europe, and well, it is establishment of Western Europe that has moved to North America as well. So the establishment is not really enthused about the establishment of Western pink skin mindset. Is not very enthused with the idea of existence of people they despise. And the reason they despise most of the time is they don't get to see. So what I'm saying is, if any of these Western leaders, or those who are very hawkish towards the others, if they're forced to go spend some time with them, they will not be so uptight, so harsh with the others. What I'm trying to say is that the same thing works with the layers of your society. If the children of the highest layers meet the children of the lowest layers in the society within those 2 years under forced environment, with the drill sergeant standing by, if they had to meet, they both despise each other. The highest layer in capitalism and the lowest layers in capitalism, they despise each other. It's normal. It's capitalism. But my point is this: if they had to meet, one, they become more humane towards each other. They would stop despising each other. If they had to forcefully meet and be together for 2 years under the same roof, they will start despising each other much less. Let's put it this way. They start despising each other much less. And friendship that comes means that people will start becoming more human towards each other, because they know they have a friend from other layers of the society, higher, more wealthy layers and poorer layers. They know people from those layers, so they all become, think a little more humanely than, let them eat cake. Let them eat cake, and on the other hand, the smash and grab. The let them eat cake crowd, and the smash and grab crowd will not be so hateful towards each other if they, know some members of each other's socioeconomic class. And then in that case, you would see that the socioeconomic divide will narrow. Socioeconomic divides will narrow when people of different socioeconomic background still have some friends from other layers of the society. So the humanity that is created reduces the gap within these socioeconomic layers of the society that inevitably a capitalist system produces. But it's just, they still, they may still fight, but they're not going to kill each other. They don't want to kill each other because they still, relate. Because they spent 2 years with a motherfucker exactly like this one, so they understand. They don't agree, but they understand and try to work something out, and therefore the gaps, the social gaps, the economic gaps will narrow, which means a more cohesive society, which means better life for everyone. On top of all these, the generals are going to have their hands full with educating and physically training and mentally training, and you know uh, being proud of being the evaluators of this new citizens of the society. Be proud of that. So they have their hands so full with these so many youngsters that go in and come out every 2 year, every year. They will have their hands so full educating and training them that none of them would have time to think about war. These generals, none of them will think about war. And if I can assure you, my pink skin friends, my North American friends, my Western European friends, I can assure you, if personalities such as John Bolton and George W. Bush and all of them, if these personalities, especially in the Republican Party, but many in the Democratic Party too, these personalities, if they had gone and spent 2 years in the military service, they would have been a much more pleasant personalities, much more sane, much more realistic, much more humane, much more humane. All it takes is seeing the people you despise in a different frame. Instead of the frame of an opponent, for 2 years you see people you despise in a frame of a comrade. Maybe not comrade. Co-draftee. I think draft is good. Here's to the draft.